Hello lads and ladies, and welcome to the channel and what's hopefully going to be a new series of hardcore Nuzlocks with an additional challenge added on. We've got a little to get through in this intro, so bear with me or just skip here if you would like to get to the action. Everything should be in the description that you would need to know. Firstly, it'd be rude not to, so I'm just going to shout out Flygon HG, as I believe he was the first one to make these videos and to make them as popular as they are, and he was definitely the one that inspired me to do this. They popped up in my recommendations one day and I was like, that seems fun, let's do it. So yeah, make sure you go and subscribe to him after watching this video, of course. Very quickly, I'm just going to go through all the rules of this Nuzlocke. We can only catch the first Pokemon we see on each route. If a Pokemon faints, it must be released or put in the box. We can't use any healing items in battle. We can't over-level past the next gym leader's ace Pokemon, and we're going to be playing on set mode. Now, this is all well and good for a Nuzlocke, but we need to make things more interesting. We need to throw in some spice. Spice? Plant? Anime? Green? Grass? Grass! It's perfect, a grass type only hardcore Nuzlocke in Pokemon Emerald. What could go wrong? First of all, we need to look at all the grass types that are frolicking in the fields of the Pokemon worlds. Well, more specifically, Gen 3. Because while there are many grass types in Gen 3, before you beat the Elite Four, you're only really given 8. Roselia isn't in Emerald, all the grass types in the Safari Zone are post-game, and because of the species clause, we have to choose between Vileplume and Blossom. So these are the only 8 Pokemon we're going to be able to use for this entire run. With this team, all barring Ludicolo are weak to fire and ice, and all of them barring Cradilly are weak to flying, which poses a bit of a problem we're going to have to deal with later on. And the problem we're going to have to deal with throughout the entire game is the fact that the grass type kind of really sucks in early gens. Mainly because what made a move physical or special wasn't based on the move itself, it was based on the type. For example, Leaf Blade is clearly a physical attack, but in Gen 3, it's a special attack. So if you had a physical attacker that was a grass type, you were as useful as a Wombre's move ball in Gen 3, which brings us on to the next problem. The moves we have access to are for the most part absolutely awful. Giga Drain is the only grass type move that I would call good, and it's only available in TM form, meaning we can get it a grand old time of 1. On the other side of the hedge though, there are a lot of pros to the grass type. For one, the support moves are phenomenal, with Sleep Powder, Leech Seed, Toxic, and Synthesis supporting a wide array of strategies. The stats on most of the team are also somewhat decent, with a few standouts especially being amazing: Breloom, Cradilly, and Sceptile. But to say this is going to be an easy challenge would be a massive lie. No point in delaying this any longer though, so let's bring back the losers that skipped the intro, and now, let us beginning! We start the game by saving Professor Tree and getting our only mono grass type, Trico. We name him Eco, and after curb stomping Maze Torchic, we're able to get Pokeballs and begin our journey. The first thing we do is catch a Lotad on Route 102 and name her Lodab. And then, after quite literally speedrunning our interaction with Arva Dearest, we get to Petalburg Woods and catch a Shroomish. We name him Elon, and Shroomish, or more precisely Breloom, is a Pokemon that I will be singing the praises of a lot during this challenge. He's going to need a chiropractor for all the fights he's going to be carrying, but for now, he's just going to be vibing, as it's now time to face Rustborough's gym leader Roxanne and her rock types. So yeah, one of the easier gyms to start off with. After the obligatory one-shotting of the Geodudes, welcome back to Click One Button Simulator 2022. The Nosepass comes out, and it is ugly, but also tanky, only taking a small chunk of damage from Absorb, but it just wastes its time with Harden, which does nothing. Another Absorb puts in the yellow as it retaliates with a Rock Tomb that crits, putting us on only 11 health. This is the rock type gym, guys, and it's already going bad. The Nosepass heals with a berry, putting it above half health, as we switch into Elon. Elon's able to eat a Rock Tomb for only a little bit, but it's still enough to be scary. So on the next turn, I use Leech Seed to get the residual damage and healing, and the Nosepass goes for Harden, because the AI is dumb. Next is a grand total of 5 turns of absorbing and Leech Seed damage that would have resulted in my death had Nosepass just used Rock Tomb over and over, but instead, Roxanne decides to throw the game, and finally we get our first badge. Again, I must reiterate, this was the Rock Gym in my grass type only Nuzlocke, and it went that bad. Is this a warning not to carry on? Am I destined to fail? Perhaps those rocks falling on me represented all the other challenges we'd be facing, and how they could entomb my hopes of beating the game with my grass type team. Prophecies aside though, Elon is able to evolve into Grovyle, and with his new form, we're able to save the old man's bird, and less importantly the Devon goods. And as a reward for our good deed, we're asked to do a good deed, become a rich man's errand boy, because Pokemon world I guess. And once we complete the not side quest, it's time to fight Brawly, who's got to be my personal least favourite gym leader, because while he doesn't deal super effective damage, his team still has really high attack and our team has middling to pretty bad defense. Add on the move Bulk Up that ups attack and defense, all the while being afraid of critical hits that could end this run in 1 second. And yeah, pretty scary fight. But no point in chilling in this cave, we've got to go. We've got to go and face Brawly. Oh yeah. So, OBS decided that it doesn't feel like doing its one job today. You know, recording. This is a problem I've had for a while now, causing the video to freeze, but the audio actually keeps going. So my solution to this problem is to use the audio. That's perfect! Oh, entirely planned as well, I might add. My awful memory and a bit of, let's say, animation to piece together what happened. We start the fight with Brawly leading Machop and I lead Lodab. For the first part of the fight, we just keep trading absorbs and karate chops, eventually leading us to both be on red health, so we switch to Elon as Brawly heals up. Elon then sets up his second Hail Mary Leech Seed as Machop uses Bulk Up, and then it's again just a case of swapping Mega Drains and karate chops until, again, the Machop goes onto red and eventually goes down. Tate then takes its place. But this thing has an awful moveset. Its only attacking move, Focus Punch, fails if the user is hit during the turn it's used. So we can keep spamming Mega Drains, getting us back to full health as Tate just keeps flinching. And that would have worked fine until my walnut brain realizes that Mega Drain's PP is very, very low, and we're going to be needing that for the Makuhita. Rather than waste the last few we have on the Tate, I decided to use Tackle, a move so overpowered that Game Freak was like, damn, we need to nerf that move, put it at 95% accuracy. So now, every time we click Tackle, there's a 5% chance Elon is going to 100% die. Thankfully though, that doesn't happen and the Makuhita comes out, so once again we use Leech Seed, which to this point hasn't managed to miss, as the Makuhita uses a Bulk Up. Next turn we use Mega Drain as the Makuhita uses Vital Throw, which does significantly more damage than we do, but with the healing from Leech Seed and our berry, Elon can survive another Vital Throw so long as it doesn't crit. But funny thing about crits, it's not always the ones against you that are the problem. We are actually able to get a crit against the Makuhita, putting it into the red, as it uses Reversal, a move I didn't know at the time deals damage based on the health of the user, and at under 4.17% health, it's a 200 base power move, and yeah, that completely annihilates our beautiful son Elon. To add insult to injury as well, Makuhita heals up with its Citrus Berry, meaning when we send out Eco, he doesn't get the KO, and a Vital Throw puts us on low health. For this next part, I'm not entirely sure what happened, but I think I was scared of Reversal, because at the time I assumed it was a move like Counter, where it did set damage based on how much damage the user took that turn. So my plan was to use Screech instead to lower its defense, not realizing A, Makuhita could have just used Vital Throw, or B, we could have just KO'd with Absorb. Whatever happened though, the end result is very much certain. Both Eco and Elon are dead, with Lodab finishing Makuhita with a Fake Out. With that, we're in pretty bad shape, but I decide to carry on anyway, catching an Oddish on Route 110. We name him Savior, and after somehow managing to beat our rival with just a Lombre and a Gloom, which was impressive to say the least, it's time to fight Wattson. Well, before that I go to the casino to try and win enough coins to buy Double Team, to maybe allow us to cheese a win at Wattson's gym, not realizing all of his Pokemon have Shockwave, a move that doesn't miss, and that the casino is a rigged cheating pile of garbage. I literally set my Nintendo DS to run at like 5 frames a second just to win a few rounds and buy Double Team. But what happens is, you press the button to lock in a 7. On the first and second one, that works fine. If you hit the button just when they enter from the top, they will stop at the middle. But the third one is absolutely rigged. It's programmed to never stop properly when you press it, either going a few extra frames, or stopping earlier, or whatever it goddamn feels like. It's infuriating. And I'll be the one to say it. The Hoenn government, they are all fraudulent little leeches. Allowing this atrocity to take place on their continent, it's... oh, the gym, yeah. It looked like this. Great. Fantastic. Fantastic. I love OBS. And given we've spent our entire budget on the last animated masterpiece, we're just gonna skip this and say Magneton wiped us. Attempt number 2. We save Professor Tree, pick up a Trico, name him Eco, curb stomp Maze Torchic. Attempt number 3, we save Professor Tree, pick up a Trico, name her Eco, curb stomp Maze Torchic, and get the first of our few friends. Skipping the Roxanne fight as it just goes the same as last time, though we still do rely on the AI being a bit thick, allows us to get back to Brawly, with the only difference being we have managed to catch Oddish a bit earlier. We're actually able to acquire an Oddish this early because once you deliver the letter to Steven, you can go to Slateport and catch an Oddish in this patch of grass. Saviour is part poison, meaning fighting attacks do half damage. Someone though should have told the dipshit that is past me this, because I don't take advantage of it at all, mainly just relying on my previous strategy of trying to brute force my way with Elon. And for the Machop it works fine thanks to Leech Seed and some Mega Drains, but then the Meditite comes out, and remember what we talked about before in regards to using the inaccurate tackle? For whatever reason, I hadn't thought about what happens when I inevitably am put in this position again. What happened was, I was put in that position again, I clicked tackle, and because of a switch, that gives him a free switch. Oh no. There it is. I knew it. I knew it, Elon. Oh, die. God damn it. Damn it. Yeah, that's on me. But thankfully Saviour is here to Saviour the day, and this is where I realised Saviour is part poison, so she only takes half damage from fighting moves, as I said before, and that means the Marco Heater can go down relatively easily thanks to just spamming Absorb and Sleep Powder. We win our second badge and lose our second Shroomish. I skipped the May fight the first time because, well, it was all just down to blind luck that we made it out of it alive. This time we'll talk more about it. May leads with a Wingull that knows Wing Attack and has a Combustion that knows Ember, both of which are super effective against my team, barring low dab with Ember. The solution to the Wingull problem is the Rock Tomb TM we got from Roxanne that's been taught to Eco, so as long as Eco doesn't miss, it's a guaranteed one-shot. But next is Combustion, and this is where I make 3 of the worst decisions I could make. First I use Rock Tomb thinking it's super effective, but fighting resists Rock, meaning it's just neutral. I'm unpunished though, as Combustion just goes for an Ember. Then I switch to Saviour when I should have switched to Lodab, as she's part water and can do free chip damage with Fake Out. Again, no, I'm not punished, as Ember does only a small chunk of damage as we outspeed and hit a Sleep Powder. Don't ask me how my plant can outspeed a chicken, I honestly have no idea. I also have no idea what I was thinking with this next decision. Rather than take advantage and switch to, I don't know, Lodab with his water type, I use Absorb, which obviously does no damage whatsoever. Once the Combustion wakes up, it hits an Ember that leaves us on 1 HP. Don't burn! Don't burn! Please God, don't burn! Finally, my 2 brain cells meet up for their weekly meeting to discuss the 6.5 good plans I have, and switching in Lodab is one of them. Fake Out hits for decent damage, and then on the next turn, 1 Absorb gets us a very lucky win. But now we're at the Wattson fight, and while on paper this fight shouldn't be hard, there was a PS at the bottom that said, so long as you have a Breloom. Without Breloom, we have nothing whatsoever that hits Magneton for even neutral damage, meaning even if we do beat it, the chances of the team being in any shape to fight a level 24 main Nectric are slim. We start the fight leading Eco as Wattson leads Voltorb, and given how this thing is known as a glass cannon, I was confident 2 quick attacks would be enough. But no, I was actually wrong. Worse still, we can't even get it low enough to proc the first Super Potion. Oh, a bit of an annoying start, all things considered. Next out is Electrike, so to lower the chances of getting paralysed by static, I Screech it first. This lowers the defences, as the Electrike uses Howl to up its attack. On the next turn, Quick Attack leaves Electrike on just a sliver of health, and we get paralysed, but our Cherry Berry activates to fix it up. Wattson wastes one of his Super Potion, as I decide to use Rock Tomb to avoid getting paralysed altogether. This also gives us enough damage to cleanly KO the Electrike. That's half of Wattson's team down, but to the stage comes his second act, which is a lot harder to deal with. The Magneton is the nightmare we've got to fight first. Even ignoring the fact that every move we have isn't very effective, Magneton has high defense, access to Sonic Boom for a set 20 damage, Shockwave for just decent coverage, Thunder Wave to slow us down and to make us roll the dice, and to make us roll the dice even more, Supersonic. So a pretty annoying moveset. My plan originally was to get as many screeches off as we could with Eco, hoping this may make things a bit easier later. And while we do miss one screech and get paralysed another turn, we're still able to get it to -4 defense. But with Eco on 16 health, a Sonic Boom will now KO, so we switch to Lodab to do some chip damage with Fake Out, but it doesn't really do much. So the next plan is to go to Saviour in order to put it to sleep. On the switch, Saviour gets hit by a Thunder Wave, but our Cherry Berry cures the paralysis. Not that that matters, as Magneton outspeeds to paralyze us again. Thankfully, we're able to break through the paralysis, only to miss a Sleep Powder. We can't all have Elon levels of accuracy, I suppose. And it seems Magneton really didn't like my plan because it decides to make us flip even more coins by throwing Supersonic into the mix. This means in order to hit Sleep Powder, we need to break through confusion, not get paralyzed, and hit the 75% accurate move. And Saviour says, "Let's go boys," and hits the Sleep Powder. But when I switch to Eco to do some damage, he gets fully paralyzed. When I switch back to Saviour to just try and outlive the Magneton with Absorb, it wakes up after only one turn of sleep. Then we put it back to sleep, and it wakes up after one turn of sleep. Fantastic. And with that poor luck and admittedly poor planning, we're completely screwed, as we've done no damage and Wattson still has one super potion left. I do start doing what I should have done originally, switching to Lodab to take advantage of the lower defense, but it's still not enough, and inevitably it's a wipe. This has taught me something though. Elon the Breloom needs to be alive for the Wattson gym, no matter what. Attempt number 4, we save Professor Tree, pick up a Trico, name him Eco, curb stomp Maze Torchic, and pick up all our friends. For the Brawly fight, I this time just used Saviour a lot more, only really switching between Eco and Elon in the beginning to beat the Machop to stop us losing 2 May Absorb PPs. And after making sure Saviour is out to KO the Machop so we can fully heal on the Meditite, it's then just a case of Sleep Powder and Absorb on the Makuhita as we tank most hits. That is a much easier Brawly fight, and finally we're able to evolve Elon into a Breloom. But I didn't record it because I'm dumb, so just this is what it looks like. It's basically this. Another fight that's been improved massively is the May fight. While we still need to rely on the wildly inaccurate Rock Tomb, Lodab is able to easily win the fight against the Combustion, though admittedly she did get a crit, which helped, as this meant we didn't need to risk a crit from Peck on the final turn. But I'm fairly confident with that fight now. And the third fight that's changed a lot is the Wattson fight. With Elon now knowing the fighting type move Mach Punch, we can hit the Magneton for super effective damage. It's essentially now just going to be us cleanly wiping this gym with no loss of life whatsoever. Well, so much for the clean sweep, and honestly, the rest of the fight wasn't that clean as well, to be fair. I used Lodab to take out the Electrike to avoid it paralysing Elon and wasting the Cherry Berry, but he just gets hit by Thunder Wave on the switch to Magneton, and because Mach Punch is a 2-hit KO, it means with the final breath, Magneton puts a Thunder Wave on us. The final hurdle to beating this gym is Mainectric. There's not much to do here, but keep hitting Mach Punches, while also hoping we don't get fully paralysed, and that the Mainectric doesn't get a crit. Neither of those happen, thankfully, as we're able to go a few rounds in the Thunderdome. We reach an impasse though, as Wattson is going to heal, and we're on low enough health, Elon will go down to one more attack. So I use the free turn to go into Saviour to try and poison the Mainectric. Try being the key word, as we manage to miss 2 of them in a row, before finally landing the last one. And with the wasted turns, the damage we've taken is now put us in range of a crit as well. Unfortunately, we also needed damage that Acid provides. So it's time to roll the dice and click on Acid as the Mainectric uses Quick Attack, putting us on only 11 health. Acid as well though puts the Mainectric on low health. So to get the final little bit of damage, Lodab comes out and one Fake Out plus Poison gets us a sloppy win, but a win nonetheless. And with that win, we're coming up to the first challenge that needs to be taken so damn seriously: Flannery and her fire types. With us only being able to catch a Nuzlocke on Route 114, there's not much we can do to fortify the team. And what definitely didn't help our cause is the fact on Route 113, I accidentally run into the worst possible trainer, a Ninja Boy, who has a coughing. So I switch to my Resident Poison type and bulkiest teammate, Saviour, and the coughing uses self-destruct, which of course critted. And what's coming up here is the real kicker, because as I'm writing this I decided, hey, let's check the damage and see if that crit actually mattered. And well, yes, Yes, it did. Then this kid has the audacity to put his number in our phone after taking a staple of the team. We can't stay to mourn though, so we bury Saviour, move on to Route 114, catch the Nuzleaf and name him Nutleaf. Grinding him up to the appropriate level was a bit annoying, and now he's going to get thrown straight into the deep end. We need to stop Team Magma from erupting a volcano, with them on it. The evac plan here is definitely lacking, and you may be thinking, Team Magma, man, those fire types they have are going to be very annoying for this grass-only Nuzlocke. And you'd technically be right, but what's more annoying are all the Zubats, because our best teammate Elon is the Brawly, and being the grass fighting type he is, flying hits for 4 times the damage. A ticket to success in this fight though is Low Dab and Nature Power, as on these rocky surfaces, Nature Power turns into Rock Slide, which can KO the Zubats with relative ease. I lead Low Dab and Maxi leads the Spooky Dog. The first thing we do is use Fake Out, then switch out as I need Low Dab as healthy as possible for what comes out next. Nutleaf gets hit by a sand attack on the switch, then we use Nutleaf's own Fake Out for more chip damage. Then I use Bullet Seed to put the dog at about half health. So I switch to Low Dab to use Fake Out, and then we use Absorb, putting the dog in the red. On the next turn, Maxi heals up as we hit another Absorb. After which, I decide to try and be cheeky and switch into Elon to attempt a bulk up and sweep plan. Sadly, that doesn't work out. So we resume plan A until the Spooky Dog is spooky no more. Then the Zubat comes out, but one Nature Power turned Rock Slide is enough for the KO. Last is Camerupt. And here I thought I had an unquestionably flawless plan. Turns out it was just questionable. We switch into Nutleaf to eat an Ember, then I use Torment, because I thought it made it so the move your opponent used last couldn't be used again for a few turns, and by getting rid of Ember, I was confident this battle would become a lot easier. What actually happened is we used Torment, and Camerupt just KOs with Ember. Fantastic. OBS was incredibly traumatized by what happened to the point where it could no longer work, but all that really happened was we switched into Low Dab and then managed to flinch the Camerupt, I believe about 3 times, somehow clutching us a win. But what's the expression? Out of the frying pan and into the fire gym with only a Breloom and a Lombre. Yeah, the fire gym is here and we are out of teammates to help us. Every single one of Flannery's Pokemon knows Overheat. Every single one of her Pokemon will one-shot us with said Overheat. So, how do we win? We can't. I do attempt a cheeky double team and bulk up gimmick, but it just doesn't go far at all. We need to put the odds massively in our favour in order to beat this gym, and with just these two, it's not happening sadly. And yes, I was actually over leveled here, but that gives me an excuse to rant about these goddamn lunatic trainers that spin around in one spot and then turn on a dime at the last second to catch you as you dare enter their territory. How you get by them, I will never know, but over leveled or not, it's time for attempt number 5. Attempt number 6, Professor, Trico, Eco, Curbstomp, Boys, Flannery. And this time, we're coming with something I never thought I'd have to resort to. A plan. You see, just brute forcing our way through Flannery is impossible. Literally, it cannot be done. So instead, we need to set up with Breloom using bulk ups to the point he can brute force his way through everything. There are 2 problems though. Number 1, how do we set up on a team that can one-shot us with an overheat at any point of the fight? And there isn't really a flawless strategy here, but there is one that makes it a lot easier. And that strategy involves Saviour the Glue. First, Saviour can take 1 overheat from the normal so long as it doesn't crit. And then with the lowered special attack, Elon can also take an overheat, again so long as it doesn't crit. This gives him a better chance of being able to set up the bulk ups. We can also use Saviour's Sleep Powder to get us a lot more free turns to set up. So while not perfect, this is the solution to getting Elon to max attack. But once we get there, problem 2 raises its ugly head. Torkoal. With a defense of 140, even a +6 attack Breloom, using Return, the strongest move we can get access to at this point in the game, won't always one-hit. The answer to this problem can be solved in 2 ways. We could equip Elon with a Silk Scarf, but then we can't have him hold a Rawsberry to cure the potential burn from Slugman's Flame Body, an ability that it absolutely has, definitely doesn't have Magna Armor, just trust me, it's Flame Body, the berry is necessary. No, the better answer to this problem is with EV training. Now, what are EVs? EVs are a great way to waste about 10 hours in grinding, but they're also part of the hidden way the Pokemon stats system works. To break it down simply, every Pokemon will have their base stats first off, then add on the IVs, which are completely randomly generated. They're unimportant for this. Next is the nature of the Pokemon, which raises one stat while lowering another. For example, an adamant nature raises attack, but lowers special attack. And finally the EVs, the only one of the 3 you can actually control. Whenever you battle a Pokemon, you'll gain 1, 2 or 3 EVs for a specific stat based on the Pokemon you fought. Zigzagoon giving speed, Poochyena giving attack, Wormbull giving health, and so on and so forth. The more EVs you have, the higher that stat will be until you reach 255 EVs, at which point the stat is maxed out. Each Pokemon can have a total of 510 EVs in it, so you can max out 2 stats with some change left over if you wanted to. Okay, nerd math stuff aside, what does this mean for us? Well, by beating up hundreds of Poochyena at various points of our journey, we've now maxed out Elon's attack stat, to the point where not only a +6 return will one-shot the Torkoal, a +5 will as well, making the setup a little bit easier. And because we outspeed all our Pokemon, it's just a case of click return 4 times. Just like that, we've cleared the second hardest gym in the game. Finally, it's time for us to get some more teammates. In the desert, we get a Cacnea we named a Tip, along with getting a root fossil from the tower, which turns into a Lil Leap we name Lil Peep. Then after giving up on catching it on Route 114 because it just doesn't exist, I'm almost guaranteed, we trade a Route for a Seedot named Dots, evolve him into a Nuzleaf and carry on. Arriving at the speed bump between the 2 hardest gyms, my father Norman. While his team is pretty tough, they're also very exploitable. All this team, barring the slacking, go down to a +1 attack Mach Punch. Again, this is how useful Elon is. What makes it even easier is the Spinda can easily give us a free turn to set up, so long as we're holding a Person Berry to cure confusion. As I said though, the slacking won't go down to 1 Mach Punch, and the Facade crit will take out Elon, so I switched to Lil Peep. The plan going forward is to begin whittling this thing down until it's on low enough health, Elon can come back out on a loafing turn and finish it off. What actually happened was, I didn't know the move Ingrained prevented you from switching out, period. And it's permanent. So this fight turns into a 20-minute slogfest of Confuse Raids, Bullet Seeds, Facades and Feint attacks, with a few yawns thrown in as well just to be irritating. Norman can of course use healing items to bring the slacking back to full health, but thankfully the thing that put us here is also the thing that saves us. Ingrain keeps Lil Peep healthy enough to carry on with the fight. You don't seem to understand, Dad. I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. Route 119, we get our final teammate, a Trophius we named Littlefoot. Another solid Pokemon, as Trophius is pretty bulky with a lot of health and learns Synthesis to heal up. The only member of the team that can actually do that outside of rest. Yeah, can't say I was very happy when I discovered that. With Littlefoot in the team, it's time to quickly dispose of Team Aqua at the Weather Institute. What's the worst that could... Oh. Elon, my best teammate, was felled by a random grunt's Zubat, and the way this happened was awful. For one, this could have been avoided by just playing the long game with Lil Peep, but I'm impatient and stupid, so instead I switch to Savior to put the Zubat to sleep, then go to Elon, who is 4 times weak to flying, I might add. The Zubat wakes up on turn 1 and hits a wing attack for about half health, so I switch back to Savior, put it asleep again, switch back to Elon, and the Zubat wakes up and kills with wing attack. Guys, let me give you some free advice here. If you've just got past an absolutely massive roadblock in any game, don't rush through the rest of it. Take your time. Use your brain. Avoid speeding up a fight that could go wrong at any moment. Cause, well... I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to the early game. The early game is scary. But while it's now incredibly more difficult, the run isn't over yet. That happens when I make the same mistake again, literally moments later. Firstly, I wasn't carrying any healing items because I couldn't be bothered to go to the shop. Secondly, I forgot May showed up here because I couldn't be bothered to look up where she showed up. And thirdly and finally, I didn't know May's combustion knew double kick and didn't know it didn't know any fire moves, because I couldn't be bothered to look it up. So I, of course, used the one Pokemon that was weak to fighting, and May manages to get a double crit. Bottom line of this is, it's reset time. Attempt number 7. This time it's personal. No more messing about. The first 4 gyms, they're completed no issue, so we'll skip them. This time, we're going to be EV training my entire team, so by the time we get to Flannery, we're much more prepared. Elon is maxed out in speed and attack, Lodab in special and a mix of special defense and speed, speed, Saviour in HP and a mix of special defense and physical defense, Eco remained more mixed, and as I was actually getting his health EVs, I find a shiny worm ball.
Most popular dedicated leads such as Archon, Onyx, and Taunt.
There we got her. We are a little shiny. But given bugs are the enemy of grass, we kill it. That was fun.
Similarly ruined by Webble leads.
Finally, Nutleaf I actually gave a bit of special defense to. I'm not sure why I did that, but once I began coming to my senses, I maxed him out in attack and speed. Also, we managed to get a Shroomish with an adamant nature, which is probably the best nature we could actually get. And if my math is correct, which it probably isn't, we got an adamant Shroomish with max or very high attack IVs. However, with all the good, there is still the bad. We managed to lose Lodab to a crit Ember from May's Combustion. And then in Flannery's gym, even though we have a refined strategy using flashes to lower the normal's accuracy, Saviour actually goes down to an overheat this time, and it wasn't even a crit, so I must have really messed up his EVs along the way. But surely, messing up my EV training is something that won't ever happen again in this run. Mercifully though, we're able to get the 4 required bulk ups and sweep the team just fine, so I decide it's worth carrying on. Jumping all the way to the Winona fight, and because I was very overly cautious, we've actually managed to make it to the gym with an Elon and a Lil Peep both intact. Lil Peep is EV trained in defense and health, while the Tip, or the Tit in this case, the Cacnea, is EV'd in speed and special attack. Finally, Lilfoot the Tropheus is EV'd in health and defense. Okay, the Flying Gym. How are we going to be able to defeat it now that the only Pokemon that can learn Ice Beam has been, ironically, killed by a Fire type, and the only Pokemon that can put things to sleep is taking a long nap? It's a lot easier to actually say all the stuff we can't do. We can't set up because there's no way we can survive all the aerial aces all of Winona's team have, and the Swablu she leads knows Perish Song. We can't one-shot anything without setting up, we can't stall out aerial ace PP because we aren't strong enough to, and we can't rely on super effective damage aside from Eco's Rock Tomb. What we do have though is a Nutleaf evolving into a Shift Tree and the Tear evolving into a Cacturn. And well, I mean, we can get the Hidden Power TM, and theoretically we could teach to Eco, but knowing my luck, it's probably Borg or Fighting or Ice! 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 Yeah, to say I was shocked by that is an understatement, but to say we're also out of the woods isn't accurate either. Hidden Power doesn't actually one-shot anything, and Eco is going to be very important for the Altaria fight if things inevitably do go wrong. And when he is out, he can't play around. So still a difficult fight nonetheless, but with my confidence boosted, I decided it's time to wing it and take on Winona. We lead Nutleaf, but a Fake Out and then a Secret Power after that are able to cleanly one-shot the Swablu. All of my team are leveled up to level 33, and then just to the tip of going over the level cap, so once we enter the battle, we can gain some extra strength by knocking out some of Winona's Pokemon. Remember kids, it's not cheating, it's just playing around the system. However, no amount of tax fraud metaphors will help us here in the long run. Pelipper comes out next, so I switch to the Tit in order to sell a Leech Seed, but the Pelipper uses Supersonic. The Tit though isn't self-destructive and manages to not only break through the confusion, but also manages not to miss the Leech Seed. Next out is Lil Peep, who just starts hitting Bullet Seeds for some damage. And once we get the Pelipper to less than a quarter health, we switch to Littlefoot as Winona does something that makes my heart drop. She withdraws Pelipper. I didn't actually know the AI could do this, and while it's not a big deal for this fight, in fact it actually helps us in the long term, it means in the future this game is going to be a lot scarier. But the future can wait, because we need to fight the present, and presently Skarmory has presented itself, presenting us with an opportunity. Given the Skarmory is out this early, we can actually fight it with a relatively healthy team, rather than trying to break through it later with a severely weakened one. The first thing I do is hit a Sweet Scent to make the future Leech Seed more accurate, as Skarmory does some small damage with Aerial Ace. Then I decide to test how much damage we do, and that is a failed test. Time for a Stall War. I switch to Lil Peep, who gets hit by an Aerial Ace. Next turn we use Confuse Ray to up our chances of getting a free switch to the Tit. But the main benefit to Lil Peep being here is that he can bait the AI into using Steel Wing, as Steel is super effective on Rock. But Skarmory does get a crit, and now if Skarmory gets another crit with Aerial Ace, we can no longer get a Leech Seed, and more than likely can no longer win. So I just click Leech Seed and pray. Taking a chance here. This is a really massive risk. Pays off. It paid off. Oh my god, the risk paid off. Right here, this is perfection. Following this, it's time for the power couple, Littlefoot and Little Pete. Switching between Steel Wings and Aerial Aces, the Skarmory is completely powerless in the face of the little boys, and soon, its energy is sucked dry. The predecessor to this fight comes out, and I expected a heal, so I switched to Little Pete to put Toxic on it. But the heal never comes, so in only a few turns the Pelipper goes down without dealing much of any damage, and Tropheus comes out. Now you may be saying to yourself, wow, this fight's going really well. I wonder how he ruins it. And this right here was where we ruined it. With arguably my dumbest plan yet, I thought the little boys could easily stall out Tropheus of all its Aerial Ace PP, allowing us to set up with Elon and KO the Altaria with ease. This didn't go well at all. The Tropheus hit way harder than I expected, and has access to Sunny Day, and therefore a one-turn Solar Beam. And yeah, one of my Pokemon really doesn't appreciate that. Worst of all, the AI doesn't go for the moves I expect, sometimes using Aerial Ace on Lil Peep even though the sun is out and Solar Beam does a lot more damage. So after around 10 turns of a fool's plan, we're left with my team looking a lot worse for wear, and a Tropheus that still very much has PP left and all her health. So it's time for the backup plan to come into play. We switch in Eco, and take a little bit of damage from Solar Beam that the Tropheus started to charge the turn before. In 2 hidden powers, the Tropheus is KO'd safely and Altaria comes out. But even being 4 times weak to ice, this is still always a 2-shot. Sources have told me though, Altaria will always go for Dragon Dance if she's slower than the opponent. Maybe? No, Eco's dead. My Eco. Once again, another starter that won't see the final form. God damn it. My sources lied to me. We switch in Nutleaf and use Fake Out to get the Altaria into a range where one secret power will KO. Thankfully we do outspeed, hit the secret power. You're not serious right now. We have gone from a dominating performance all the way to, we're quite literally 1 crit away from wiping to Winona, who would have won with a 1 HP Altaria as her last teammate. Let's see how this plays out. Oh my god. Okay. I think we've done it. Luck was on our side this time, thank god. One last secret power and Winona, the flying type gym leader, has been defeated in our grass only Nuzlocke. Of course, I handled this victory with grace. Yes! 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 And humility. Oh, Winona, you can suck on my massive throbbing. Carrying on, we say goodbye to the legend that was Eco and his hidden power. Next is a lot of skippable content. It's just the normal stuff, you know, stealing ancient artifacts, volcano gods, Crobats. Yeah, the Crobats are actually kind of an issue. Maxie's team is just kind of a nightmare in general, because even in his new beautiful form, Lil Peep is a bit too self-destructive to beat the Crobat one-on-one. The Lil Boys though, they watch out for one another, and Lilfoot is able to save the day by taking enough wing attacks. The Camerupt would be terrifying if this wasn't its moveset. No fire in sight, so Nutleaf can just easily take out the fiery camel without any issue. With the Magma and soon after the Aqua base is defeated, it's time for the Psychic Gym leaders Tate and Liza. And for the first time, this is a fight that's going to be pretty easy. And I can say that without cutting to something awful happening. Tate and Liza lead a Satu and Claydol, and Satu's only offensive move is Psychic, and with Nutleaf and the Tih both being dark, we can essentially just do whatever we want and the Satu can do nothing. What this equates to is setting up Gross with the until we can just sweep through everything else, all the while Nutleaf just keeps hitting the Claydol with Shadow Balls. Both my teammates are also holding Person Berries to cure any confusion from the Satu. Once we're ready, Feint Attacks and Shadow Balls clear the entire gym. The Solrock did actually outspeed, which would have been bad if it had used Flamethrower, but instead it just sets up a Sunny Day, something my plants probably enjoyed. And with that, badge number 7 is ours. We do have another battle with Team Magma in the Space Center, but again, the combination of the Lil Boys and Elon, along with Steven's Matang being a total legend and actually pulling its own weight, this fight is a breeze. What should have been a breeze as well was the final gym, the Water Gym and its leader Juan. On paper, this is the easiest fight in the game, but one wrench has been jammed into the works, and it's its ace, Kingdra. Kingdra has Ice Beam that's going to hit everyone for super effective damage, but more substantially is the realization that I had screwed up Elon's speed EVs, making her a lot slower than she should be. To put it into perspective how badly I messed this up, a level 46 Breloom, even with 0 speed IVs, but max EVs, still outspeeds a Kingdra. My darling daughter does not. She's not even close. But Mach Punch, I hear you ask? Well, with my current level, or even at level 47, and plus 6 attack, Mach Punch isn't a guaranteed KO. So now, a fight that should have had a 0% chance of failure has a pretty decent chance of failure, because the backup plan I have is in the form of the Tate. He can get enough growth off to one-shot Juan's team. He's still slower though, and also at risk of a crit, so basically the same position Elon would be. So why is he better? Well, let's just say there's a useful tier list, and while not at the bottom, he sits lower than Elon, meaning he's going to have to have the honour of fighting the Kingdra. Before any of that, we have to set up first though, so we drain the Love Disc out of all its moves, then set up a Leech Seed to keep the tier healthy as we set up growths. We can only survive the Ice Beam from the Kingdra if we're relatively healthy, hence the Leech Seed. A long time later, we're ready for a sweep. We one-shot the Love Disc and then the Celio comes out. We one-shot that as well. Finally, the Kingdra comes out, so we click Feint Attack and it uses Double Team. Oh no! Woe is me! Now my move might miss and this Kingdra might sweep me. Your Feint Attack can't miss! Get screwed, you stupid water dragon. And with the problem out of the way, the last two members of Juan's team are outsped and KO'd, giving us the 8th and final badge. And with that, it's time for the Elite Four. Nothing can stop us now. Okay, this was unforeseen. I was borderline positive we fight this loser at the end of the cave. Not the beginning. Yeah, Wally does ambush us here, and honestly his team's not very difficult. I just wanted to kind of demonstrate how lucky he is, because his Delcatty hits 2 Sings, which have a 55% accuracy, and she also pulls Assist, getting Psychic against Elon. If that had crit and I'd lost Elon to a Delcatty, I think I would have just thrown my entire computer out the window. With Wally down, it's now time to fight the Elite Four. Everyone's been leveled up to match Drake's Salamence at level 55. I've got a plan for just about every single member of the Elite Four and the champion Wallace, and I'm decently confident about all of them, so now it's just time to execute those plans. Do you think this team can chlorophyll the Hall of Fame? It's time for the Elite Four. First up to bat is Sydney and his Dark-types, but after giving up on trying to get Elon in without being hit by a sand attack, we just say screw it. One bulk up is enough to make sure every one of his team goes down to 1 Mach Punch. Thankfully we don't miss, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Next is Phoebe, and in similar fashion we set up 1 growth with the Tier, and then Feint Attacks sweep her entire team. Halfway through the Elite Four, and this has been easier than half of the gym leaders. Third is Glacia and her GS Ball, who you may think is going to be difficult, but with a plan she's actually really easy. But when you decide to change that plan on the last minute without coming up with a better one, it becomes incredibly difficult. Originally the idea was to simply set up 1 bulk up with Elon, then sweep with Brick Break, but here's the issue. I need every one of Elon's moves here for Drake and Wallace, so I can't give Elon Brick Break. Instead, I have the genius idea to set up 3 bulk ups instead by using Substitute. I mean, given the Celio's only attacking move is Ice Ball, surely this won't backfire massively. Should break. Oh my god, it did break. Yes, by underestimating the power of an Ice Ball, I just turned what should have been an easy fight into an almost guaranteed wipe. There's no way we're setting up with Elon now, same with the Tier. Stalling out Ice Ball PP is not an option, so I just opt to KO the Celio with Mach Punch and hope I can think of something else or get very lucky. Thankfully both of those are able to happen when she sends out her stronger Celio. This one's only Ice move is the lower PP and inaccurate Blizzard. So once again my 2 brain cells have now come up with a plan. Boys, it's stall time. But first we need to make a sacrifice in order to get rid of some of the Blizzard PP without putting too much pressure on the walls. Sadly, it's time to say goodbye to Nutleaf. He's done his part, and after setting up Halo, Celio uses Blizzard. And it misses, so that's 1 down. Next turn she uses Attract, so at least Nutleaf won't die alone, because next turn the Celio uses Blizzard again. And we survive on 16 health, and we're even able to outlive the Hail chip. So on the next turn, Blizzard does connect again, but Nutleaf has done his job and then some, eating up 3 Blizzard PP, and with only 2 in the chamber, and Lil Peep having Protect, the last 2 PP are used up. And after a very long and annoying time stalling out Celio with all its double edge PP, made even worse and more infuriating because I didn't teach Trophy as Protect for some reason, we're able to switch into the Tier to put a Leech Seed on the Seal. Then we switch to Elon to set up all the bulk ups we need, while Leech Seed keeps keeps us healthy enough to stop the hail KOing. Then it's time to do what I wanted to do at the start and punch everything that stands in front of me. With that, we win the battle where I was simultaneously an idiot and a genius, but just focus on the latter. The final Elite Four member is Drake. He has a Dragon Dancing Kingdra and a Salamence that can outspeed everyone and hit our party pretty hard with Flamethrower. So it's time again to use the forbidden technique and cheat my way to another win. The little boys in the tier stall out the Shelgon of all its moves, allowing Elon to come in and set up 6 bulk ups and substitute right in its face. The substitute is there to eat a hit from Salamence, allowing us to one-hit it with Return. Using Return here is actually crucial as neither Brick Break or Mach Punch KO, hence why I didn't want to get rid of it earlier. And Mach Punch is going to be needed for the Kingdra as it outspeeds and threatens to one-shot or break our sub. The Kingdra actually doesn't come out before the Salamence, so it was kind of pointless to keep Mach Punch, but anyway, speaking of which, it's the Kingdra. Okay, a little behind the scenes fact here. On this attempt, I was checking damage calculations like 20 times over. I wasn't taking any chances. For each and every fight, I was just checking and checking and checking, making sure everything was right. And obviously, given this is the Elite Four, I was doing just that. So I go back, double check Mach Punch kills, and I see this. Return doesn't kill at +6? I checked this though, it did kill. I have no idea how this is possible. A +6 attack from a Breloom with crazy high attack damage doesn't come close to one-shotting. That's pretty bad. However that works, there is still a chance for victory. If I set up another substitute and the AI goes for Dragon Dance or Smokescreen, we can just fire off 2 Mach Punches and win. So that's what I do. I set up a substitute and Kingdra goes for the Dragon Dance, which means we've now won. Mach Punch connects and it one-shots. Strangely, no crit either. So what went wrong? Is the game bugged? Was the damage calculation wrong? Maybe this is divine intervention. Nope. I just accidentally clicked on the add reflect button, so it was showing the damage had a reflect being up. What an idiot! Well, with misclicking aside, the last great hurdle is now behind us. All we have left is the champion, Wallace and his water types. Which should be easy, right? I mean, grass meets water. How can we lose? Well, a lot of ways. Tentacruel is the biggest one. It's very fast and it can beat our entire team with the combination of Ice Beam, Sludge Bomb and Toxic. And if we do get past it, we've got a Gyarados that will cut attack with Intimidate, a Ludicolo with Double Team, and a Milotic with Ice Beam. So there's really only one course of action, my favourite strategy. The little boys in Elon, they're going to pull their shenanigans off one last time. Alright boys, here's the plan. We need 6 bulk ups and a substitute to almost guarantee victory. Yes, almost guarantee victory. Because I messed up Elon's speed EVs, he's actually tied for speed with Milotic, and the Mach Punch has a range to kill. To be precise, it has a 62.5% chance to kill, giving us a terrifying 37.5% chance to lose the entire run at the very last moment. And we can't rely on the substitute to take the hit because we need it in one piece for the Tentacruel, who also outspeeds but takes just over half health from the resisted Mach Punch. That is where we will need the sub to eat a hit in order to win. Making things even more annoying is the Gyarados with Intimidate, because if he comes out after the Wailord, he'll lower our attack and we can no longer KO Milotic. To fix this though, we can equip Elon with a Y-Turb, which causes any changes to our stats to be removed. That was a lot of planning, and now it's all behind us. It's time to just execute it. Job 1 is completely draining the Wailord of all its moves, double edges included. Focusing first on the Blizzards with the Tier who, after doing some damage with Feint Attack to lower Wailord's health and make Water Spout do less damage, is able to spam a few double teams for a while and take down 3 Blizzard PP and 2 double edge PP before falling. Rest well, you goddamn legend. Now it's time for the little boys to do what they do best, stall the hell out of everything, and with both having Protect now, plus Lil Peep having Rest, they have truly reached their final form. After a very long time, the Wailord begins to struggle, trying to prevent the inevitable. Elon though, he cares not, and starts setting up bulk ups. The Wailord though, angered by this insult, commits his final act. He crits us. And this one crit has just done so much damage. At the health right now, after setting up the last 2 bulk ups, will be too low for the substitute, and if we set up the substitute now, it'll just get broken before we're done. In other words, we're not getting a substitute off at all. And with the last 2 members of the team only designed for stalling, if Elon falls, we're going to lose. There's nothing we can do to stop that. I can only set up the final 2 bulk ups and pray. One return finishes off Moby Dick, Milotic comes out and we click Mach Punch, and it's a crit. That is one step closer to salvation. And coming out next is the very last, the final roadblock, the Tentacruel. I think Past Me sums up my chances here perfectly. The only way There's 2 ways we win this. 3 ways we win this. You can crit, you can go for toxic, or you can go for hydro pump and miss. Those are the only ways we win. At this point in time. Because we're not outspeeding it. So, for what is going to be the final time, it's time for Mach Punch. I actually clicked on my other monitor here by accident, hence the black screen as it was like loading in or something. But this actually makes the outcome probably the best of the 2, because if the other one had happened, no one would believe me. So I think you can guess what transpired here. We didn't get the crit, and the Tentacruel goes for Hydro Pump, and it connects, sending our dreams of winning to the bottom of the ocean. Because the Lil Boys are so focused on stall, they don't have any offensive way to deal damage, with Lilfoot not even being able to KO with Fly. Ironic, really. Their greatest strength was their ultimate weakness all along. Well, you know, aside from having me as a trainer. No! I don't want to go back! I don't want to! No. Well, that was my attempt to be a hardcore Nuzlocke on Pokemon Emerald with just grass types. It's pretty hard. One day I will return to this challenge and I will defeat it, but for sanity's sake, that won't be for a while. I hope you still enjoyed this video. Help out my channel by subscribing. We're still pretty small. I'm hoping to grow it more and more. And yeah, I hope you all have a much better day than I did after recording this. Past me, finish it up. 1 crit. That is ridiculous. Oh.